Alright, welcome back to Late Night with Honored Madman. Today we've got a brief little video for you guys today about the new trailer that just dropped for the Fallout series. Now, if you've been watching this channel for a bit, you know that I'm highly anticipating this series because I consider myself quite the fan of the series, you know, the games. Fallout 1 and 2 with their brutal learning curve, Fallout 3, this coming-of-age story, and of course New Vegas, my personal favorite, the game that pretty much lets you do whatever you want. I've had a lot of fun in the Fallout universe, and I've been really meaning to get around to doing some lore videos that just keep getting pushed further down the list, but you guys have heard me say that countless times. Just know that eventually they are coming. But today I figured we would watch that new trailer together, and I would, comment on it as we watch it, and then I'll single out a couple things that I really thought looked good, or stuff that I find particularly interesting to theorize on. And this trailer did have a pretty big reveal. It revealed that all of the episodes would be premiering on the same day on Amazon, so definitely expect a review a week or so after it comes out, because I'm going to probably be watching the shit out of it. And good or bad, I'm ready to give my unbiased review. I mean, if it's bad, then I'm really going to be disappointed, but I really don't think that's possible. I mean, look, they got Walton Goggins, Kyle MacLachlan, Michael Emerson, Ella Purnell from Yellow Jackets, a great and solid cast. And it's also got this amazing setting that can provide so many, interesting stories that haven't been told before on a screen. It's set in this retro futuristic post-apocalyptic wasteland. I mean, that alone just opens up the door to so many possibilities. I feel like there's no way that Jonathan Nolan is not going to write a good story with this, because most things he's written have been pretty solid that I've seen. There's very few complaints from me. I'd have to look at his filmography again, but if I remember correctly, I've liked almost everything he's written, so I got faith in the guy. And I also have faith in their ability to use this amazing setting that they've been given. And the best part is that this is not an adaptation of the story of any of the games at all. It's its own story set in the universe. It's taking place in the same world as the games. It's not some alternate timeline Marvel bullshit or anything like that. And it's in a place that we have not seen yet before in the Fallout world, LA. We haven't seen what it looks like over there, and we're going to meet all these interesting characters. I believe Cooper Howard is Walton Goggins' character's name, who is surprisingly a vault-tec spokesman, probably a former Western actor. Well, let's get right into it. Actually, that alone makes it worth watching. Anyway, let's get right into it. Let's start this trailer thing. Alright, so let's watch this new trailer together, and I'll probably comment on it as it plays. I don't think I'll be pausing it. I have a couple screenshots of frames that I want to talk about after. And then we might watch that trailer that came out a couple months ago and see if there's any differing footage. I don't think there's very much, but there is a couple things that aren't present in the new trailer in that old one. So let's start with that first one, shall we? Alright, let's see here. Oh, we got the Goggins smoking a cig. He's always playing these great characters. Look at that, that was a nice transition. Bobblehead, of course. And the vaults look like Fallout 4. Oh, there he is. Yeah, it looks good so far, man. Because if the worst should happen tomorrow, the world is going to need you to build a better day after. Well, it's a cool shot. It reminds me of Point Lookout, but I'm guessing that's the pier in LA, because this takes place in LA. Big surprise.
The mission of the vault should be important to everyone.
Well, that reminds me of the Book of Boba Fett, Jabba's sail barge. Oh, hey, look, there's Patty the daytime hooker from My Name is Earl. That's generally how vault dwellers are treated in these games. Makes sense. Of course, the classic song, the Ink Spots. Oh.
Had a rough week. Practically every person
vault-tec, I think it said on it. What's that, Matt Berry? He's once again playing a murderous robot.
You come from a world of rules, of laws. You should not be alone.
Is that supposed to be the Pridwin?
Why did you join the Brotherhood?
Oh, there's one of those rifles, those ugly ass rifles from Fallout 4. Well, the armor looks pretty good, but I mean, it is the T60 and not the T45. Again, that's just lore nerd stuff. Ooh, Walton, he looks great. Blew a hole right through him like in Predator.
Well, now that is a very small drop in a very, very large bucket of drugs.
See, only Walton Goggins can deliver a line like that without it being, you know, eye-rolling. Oh, there he is, Agent Dale Cooper again. Now, who are these people? This is something I've been wondering the more and more I watch this. See, he was like an actor that was hired to be a spokesperson for vault-tec. At least that's the gist I get. Oh wow, bear fist fighter. I mean Yao Guai. It looks like he's fighting one of them right there. Yeah. See, we're just gonna have to go over this. That dog me.
What is happening here?
Fucking
Everyone wants to save the world. They just
railroad squash. Eye patch lady. Looks like she survived. Dog meat getting shot at. That's a scary scene.
There you are, you little killer.
You little killer. See, again, yeah, Walton Goggins, if nothing else, is going to carry this show. They're that wink, and all episodes available April 11th. Ain't that something? Alright, so I don't know how good that reaction was, but let's go over some freeze frames I've taken throughout the trailer. Just stuff that I found interesting or worth theorizing on or just worth talking about. So let's head over to Exhibit A. First things first, Special Agent Dale Cooper. Look at him. I believe he's playing Ella Purnell's character's dad. What a guy, though. He looks like he's going to be the most wholesome character ever, and he's probably, unfortunately, going to, you know, croak, or at least that's what some of the scenes in the trailer seem to imply. And that's usually the case for most dad characters or most Uncle Ben style characters, but again, I can hold out hope that he survives. There's this really interesting shot with Walton Goggins' character, the Ghoul. I believe they've given him a name, Cooper Howard, of course. It's a very southern sounding name. And it looks like he's the current owner of Dogmeat, at least at this point in the story when this scene takes place. We see Dogmeat with a number of people, though. I previously thought that he must have belonged to Michael Emerson's character, you know, Ben Linus from Lost. That guy seems to be some sort of a vault-tec scientist or something that's just wandering around the waste. It's really tough to say. It looks like the vault is like attacked at some point. Here we have this scene. We've got Kyle MacLachlan looking like surprised by something, but you know, he's not scared. He's got a plan. You know, he's gonna do something about what's happening. Here we've got another good shot I liked of the Ghoul sitting in what appears to be a super duper mart next to a fresh corpse he presumably created. He's got a bottle and the remains of what looks to be some wasteland style food in front of him, and he's watching himself from better times. You know, he was apparently some Western actor, I assume, who vault-tec hired to be a spokesperson. Seems something very on brand for the type of world that Fallout is. And a lot of people forget it's not really science fiction. I mean, it is, but it's more like an alternate history tale in many ways, as well as it is a post-apocalyptic sci-fi one. Now, there's a couple funny scenes of Walton Goggins messing with this little vial or this little jar thing, and then there's one scene where it looks like he's poured it into his eyes and ears, and it appears to be some type of wasteland drug of some kind. It looks pretty cool and very interesting, and I think it's presumably why he thinks he can go toe-to-toe with a fully armored Brotherhood of Steel guy in this little brief scene we see in the trailer as well. I really hope he doesn't die or anything, because that would be really whack, a big waste of such a great character and actor. Even if, you know, I haven't seen the character yet, I can already tell I'm gonna love it. Like I said, if everything else in this show fails, I know that Walton Goggins' contributions will be quite good and definitely rewatchable. And I saved the best little thing for last because look at this thing. I thought it was like some mirelurk type of creature or something because it comes out of the water or a swamp or whatever the fuck it comes out of. But look at that. Those aren't teeth. Those are what appear to be human fingers that are in the place of teeth. Now that leads me to believe this has to be more of a centaur type creation or some sort of product of FEV, because what the fuck, that is the type of monster design I'm here for. I don't think there's any pre-existing monster like that in Fallout lore. That might be an entirely new being. And I think that's smart. They should be creating new monsters. I mean, if they're up to that caliber, I mean, sure, the CGI isn't like the best thing I've ever seen, but it's not bad. And they should be creating new characters because I never liked the idea that we'd seen all of what the various wastelands had to offer. I mean, it's at the very least confirmed that we're getting the iconic Rad Roach and of course the extremely iconic, in my opinion at least, Yao Guai. even if it looks to be more the Fallout 4 variant as opposed to Fallout 3's more hyena-looking one. Always preferred that one for some reason. Anyway, now I think that was all the little frames I wanted to focus on from this trailer, but let's do a quick watch of the teaser one they released a couple months back because, you know, why not? Let's make this video longer. I mean, I like to rant and ramble, so why not? Alright, there's another shot of the vault. Looks like a Fallout 4 vault. I guess nothing wrong with that. They are kind of just, I guess, retconning several vaults to have looked like that, even though I liked the more, you know, metallic one from Fallout 3 in New Vegas. Lucy, that's her name. I was trying to remember it earlier. A skull. That's very, you know, Fallout-like. There's always a skull or a skeleton right out in front of a vault.
You need to go home.
There's that shot again. I think this is Ben Linus from Lost talking. Oh, Rad Roach. See, that looks pretty good.
Do not think you would be willing to do
Tumbleweed,
what it
very New
takes
Vegas.
to survive up here. If you insist on staying, then you will have to adapt.
Dog meat fucking murking a Rad Roach. Amazon really thinks they're cheeky with that. And 2-day shipping. I don't think I've ever gotten 2-day shipping from them, but I think maybe my dad has, so I guess I shouldn't hate. The vertebrates look good. Very good music choice, too. Very, you know, like this ethereal feeling, and then it turns into, yep, like I don't know, it's very Fallout. This feels very Fallout. Dog meat with a hand. Brotherhood of Steel, jukebox, a guy from Severance, some sort of attack on the vault. Megaton style town. Walton Goggins, of course. In the center of the Megaton style town. Oh yeah, burnt out church. Or is that, maybe, who knows who that is? A one-eyed fucking Dr. Spaceman from 30 Rock. Turret, straight out of Fallout. Man. That fucking shot gives me anxiety. I mean, how is Dogmeat dodging those bullets? What was that thing with the fingers for fucking teeth? Oh, I guess it was from this trailer. There's that girl with the thing sticking out of her eye. We know she survives that, though, because later we saw her with an eye patch. And if you look here, you can see Walton Goggins riding his horse right there on the freeway as the bombs are going off. That's a very nice detail. So we are going to see it through his eyes, the actual nuking of Las Vegas. Very cool stuff. Man, I felt like I just ran a fucking mile trying to get all those thoughts out in the allotted time before the scene changed. Now, there is, of course, a couple frames I think I wanted to focus in on that I'd paused and taken screenshots of. Let's check real quick. Is there an Exhibit B? Well, nothing too big, but here we are. We've got this bear eating a Brotherhood of Steel guy who I think we saw the other side of this fight on the newer trailer with him just straight decking the bear in the face. That almost feels less Fallout and more Yakuza. I mean, you literally have to do that in Yakuza 5. You have to fist fight a bear as a character named Seijima. Definitely an underrated game in that series. I actually really like 5. I prefer it over 4. But that's not to say 4 is bad. I mean, they're both better than Yakuza 3, which itself has a great setting, and look at me getting off topic. Anyway, we've got this other shot of the Mr. Handy, voiced by presumably Matt Berry, pushing the main character Lucy after he just tranked her, as we saw in the newer trailer. It looks like a cool little ice cream ad that he's wheeling her past. Very Fallout, very, like I said, very good set design, at least it feels like. I mean, there's several shots of that town that look like Megaton-esque. It's very, the fact that it's built with parts of a plane is very evocative of Megaton in Fallout 3. It's not, you know, exactly the same, and it's not meant to be, but it's supposed to be, you know, in the same spirit. I think something funny about this Brotherhood character is that he seemingly has a similar backstory to, like, the Mandalorian, you know what I mean? He was recruited, he was probably saved as a kid by the Brotherhood. And I would assume it would have to be the East Coast Brotherhood, because as far as we know, the West Coast never started opening up their ranks to the Wastelanders. That was something that Lyons did, and many people criticized him for it, namely the Outcasts. Of course, Fallout 4 removed all the ambiguity from the Brotherhood of Steel as a whole, and just had Maxon, you know, unify them off screen. Honestly, it never made much sense of why the Maxon heir went with Elder Lions to the East Coast. None of that really, I mean, there is a little backstory for it, and I can't remember it off the top of my head. But it always seemed weird that they had the literal heir of the founder of the Brotherhood just sitting with the ragtag East Coast Brotherhood and not back home. Even though we would later find out that the West Coast Brotherhood isn't doing so well itself. I mean, they had to fight that war with the NCR, which I think we see a little bit of a scene with. We got this guy right here. It looks like he's carrying a New California Republic flag. The armor is very different than what we saw in New Vegas, but I mean, that's fine. It looks a little bit more like combat armor, less clothy. But I'm assuming this shot is of the war with the NCR, and it's probably a flashback unless their conflict has reignited, because as of Fallout New Vegas, that war had ended, and there's numerous ways you can reestablish a relationship between the NCR and the Brotherhood. So it's interesting to see how they're going to weave in this storied past of conflicts between the two different factions, or perhaps by the point in the show they maybe conflicted several times and are just natural enemies at this point. It is worth noting that the show takes place in Los Angeles, which is located in California. I wouldn't put it past this being the Brotherhood's attempt to expand back westward and possibly even take the NCR's lands. But honestly, who knows? They could really write whatever they wanted to about, this side of the story or map or whatever, because we really have no idea what's going on the West Coast in present-day Fallout, or at least as far as Fallout 4 goes. So that one will definitely be interesting. Again, they could easily just solve this by having the East Coast Brotherhood come back west, but that might complicate things for future games they set out. But again, I'm kind of tired of the Brotherhood of Steel as a whole, so maybe they'll just move on from them, and they'll have a game with just little references and not have them as a whole in it, even if many people find them to be a staple. Look, I loved the Enclave too, but they can't be in every game as much as the developers want to shove them in each one. I think New Vegas definitely did it the best, but I really liked the Enclave in Fallout 3. It just kind of paled to Fallout 2's portrayal of them. And of course, the Brotherhood was going to be in the show. I don't have no issues with that. I mean, it makes sense. They're essentially Fallout's mascot, just as much as the Vault Boy. I just really don't think they should be portrayed as heroic. And they probably won't be, but that doesn't mean I want them to be portrayed as, like, evil either, or, like, authoritarian, nut jobs. They're neo-knightly. There is a honor to what they're doing and to some of the individual members of the order. It's a complex thing that kind of gets painted as black and white in various sections of the games and could easily happen in the show, so I hope it doesn't. Let's see, what else was there? Oh yeah, did I already mention the Cyclops guy that we saw? He looks like he's a Vault Overseer. He's played by Spichemin, but most people will probably recognize him, or at least his voice, as Jerry from Rick and Morty. But yeah, this guy's an metric fuck ton of shit, and here's him with one eye. Pretty cool stuff. I guess the going theory on him is that his vault was deliberately left with a leak. So that vault-tec could presumably monitor the effects of small amounts of radiation seeping into an enclosed, supposedly protected environment, and what changes that would bring about in its residents. Namely, this guy with a Cyclops eye. But one thing I really hope the show covers is the sinisterness of vault-tec, either through this Cyclops character or his vault or the main character's vault, or perhaps the Ben Linus Michael Emerson character, who we see here injecting himself with something in the back of his neck, but he to me seems like he's like a vault-tec guy. Or perhaps some kind of former Enclave scientist who's descended from vault-tec employees, or vault-tec wouldn't currently still be around, but I hope we learn more about just how messed up vault-tec was. They basically had, several of these vaults that are basically social genetic experiments. Maybe not always genetic, but there are all these different science experiments, basically. There was, I believe, 20 vaults that were designed, or they worked exactly as they were designed, but most of them were just these crazy experiments to put people in bizarre situations and study how they act. My favorite example of this was them gathering a bunch of very famous and gifted musicians and putting them all in this enclosed, vault environment and subjecting them to experimental, suggestive white noises while they were in their recording sessions and eventually while they were just in their beds. And that's probably the most tame one I could think of, honestly. They get a lot more crazier than that. And I think that provides a wealth of opportunities for the writers to come up with some really, nutty shit. Again, this really does have all the potential in the world, and if it's squandered, it's really going to be a disappointment. But I do think that it's going to be in good hands. Look, again, I haven't seen Westworld, but I've watched a couple of the movies that John Nolan wrote, and he did a pretty good job. Anyway, since I'm getting into rambling, probably cut this video off soon. We talked a lot longer than I planned to, which is always cool. Again, I know there's been several video games adapted into movies and TVs, especially lately. Like we had the Mortal Kombat movie, which was pretty solid except for that main character. Hiroyuki Sanada did great in that. I mean, the entire cast, the guy who played Kano fucking killed it. And we'll have a sequel to that with Billy Butcher, Carl Urban playing Johnny Cage, I believe. We'll have to see how that plays out. And of course, there's the Halo show that my dad watches. I can't seem to get into it. I heard they added the Arbiter, who's probably one of my favorite characters, but I still just can't seem to get into the TV show. It's just something about the guy who plays Master Chief. I don't know. I like Bokeem Woodbine. He does a great job as Soren. I knew he would kill it as in any role. And of course, the most popular video game adaptation into a TV or movie so far has been probably The Last of Us, which I have my own criticisms of, but I mean, it holds up. It's okay. It's good. The best thing about Fallout, this Fallout series, is that it's not necessarily an adaptation. It just sort of takes place in the world of Fallout, you know, and it's going to try and pay homage to the games where it can. At least that's what it seems like from the trailers. But they're not adapting any existing source material. Like, they're not covering one of the games. This isn't going to be a retelling of the game. It's going to be its own original story, and I think that could be, you know, what makes this work. It doesn't really have to live up to any of the stories of the video games, which honestly don't have the most compelling stories of all time anyway. They're definitely good stories for a video game. But it's probably for the best that they're not restricted into having to adapt one of the various main quests from these Fallout games. They're still putting, you know, the protagonist as a vault dweller, and that's probably to help the audience connect with them a little bit better, even though that this, you know, doesn't take place in our world. It's, again, an alternate history where science and technology adapted completely different, and then in 2077, China and America nuked the shit out of each other and the rest of the world. But I think I covered everything I wanted to get to about this trailer, or I mean both of these trailers. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Does this show look good to you? Does the cast or the trailers seem promising? Personally, I do think it has a lot of potential, and I'm really happy that all of the episodes are going to be released at once, because I swear, like, these days, like, 1 or 2 bad episodes can get people to just stop watching a great episode, and that's bad episodes that they've decided are bad because they're boring or something that happened in them that they didn't like. That's such a common thing, even if they are good episodes, well written, well directed, well acted. People just won't like what happens in them because their favorite character or, you know, an actor they like dies, or they do something shady that supposedly goes against their character. People see that shit and just instantly deem it bad, and I think that's a really childish way of looking at the world. Like, I probably used to do that all the time when I'd watch shit when I was like 12. I'd be like, oh, fuck this guy, and not really understand the complexities. But, you know, here I am rambling again. Anyway, if you guys like this or were moderately to, you know, significantly entertained by it, please consider liking and subscribing. If you disliked it, please dislike it, and let's get to that outro before I ramble myself into oblivion. The game, not the state of existence. Oh yeah, Amazon released a little sneak preview of the first episode the other day, and it's mostly just an expanded version of one of the scenes we saw in the second trailer, where Ella Purnell's character shoots Walton Goggins' character with a syringer gun to less than desirable results. Now, in the sneak peek, it becomes clear that Walton Goggins is trying to come after Michael Emerson's character in this scene, a character who I believe to be a former vault-tec scientist, who presumably cryogenically froze himself like in Fallout 4, so he would still be alive by the events of the story that takes place in the show. And it appears that presumably Walton Goggins is coming after him because he knows him from before. Perhaps he got screwed over by Vault-Tec, as we know he was some sort of spokesperson for them, and when he sees Michael Emerson's character, all that rage comes back and he's trying to get to him for answers. You know, he wants to get some sort of explanation or revenge for why he's a ghoul and why he lost everyone he loved. You know, that sort of thing. I mean, it's a really good scene. They posted it on Instagram. It's probably on Amazon. You could probably check it out. It's only like 3 or so minutes long, and at the very end of it, a Brotherhood of Steel guy shows up to stop Walton Goggins from advancing on Ella Purnell's character. It's a really good, albeit brief scene that if you're interested in the show, you should probably check out. It's a good little taste of what it's going to be. But yeah, now here's where I plug future uploads. So we got a lot of lore videos coming, as always. You know, the Aldia video that I've been promising for months now is definitely almost finished. Aside from that, I have some other stuff I wanted to touch on, like the Albinaurix, or the Desolation of Melania. We're going to go in depth on how just destructive she was. I got a video planned about Albinaurix, Tanith, the Lothric royal family. There's a lot of shit I want to get to. Plus there's some Dark Soulsian stuff. Stuff like Oblivion's drug trade that I've been wanting to get to for a while. I'm like halfway through that one. My Zant video that I just really need to get the footage for. I just got to play through a little bit more of Twilight Princess. But yeah, a lot of stuff is coming for sure. I might cover another TV show very soon called The Gentleman, which is, in my opinion, Netflix's best show in, well, I think years or possibly a decade. I mean, because I haven't seen a good original series. I guess it isn't original, it's sort of an adaptation of Guy Ritchie's movie The Gentleman, which was a movie I already enjoyed, but I can't recommend it enough, and I will probably definitely cover it in a video at some point soon. I've got some other videos about movies planned, movies like Sorcerer, Prospect, all these kind of, in my opinion, obscure movies that don't get enough attention, so I figure I can try and use my channel to bring them attention, and maybe people will appreciate them like I do. And maybe they won't appreciate them, that's fine too, but I just want to cover other shit occasionally. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think about the how the Fallout show looks based on the 2 trailers we've seen. And also let me know some underrated TV shows or movies that you guys have seen in the past, however many years. You can go back as far as you can think, honestly. I mean, I can think of countless underrated shows that I could make videos about, like Hell on Wheels, Black Sails, all these, in my opinion, diamonds in the rough. But I'm rambling once again, so I'm going to let you guys go. I will see you very soon with either a lore video or that video on The Gentleman. I'm not sure which one will get finished first, but we shall see. But until then, be safe and see ya.